just after 10:30, so I'll go ahead and get started. If everybody wants to just situate themselves, be prepared to enter a world of magic and wonder. This is an incredible treat for me because what I'm going to talk to you about I do all day long, every day, and it's rare that I get an opportunity to tell other people about it. And I cannot express enough how much I appreciate you being here. This is incredibly indulgent for me to imagine that this many people are in a room to hear what I'm about to tell you about. I am Joel Sadler. I have taken to including the R because in Googling myself, I discovered there are some other Joel Sadlers in the world, and they are both more attractive and more successful than me. And so I hate for somebody to be disappointed when they actually find me, so just ignore them. One of them actually invented the bionic knee. The guy's pretty incredible. And then the other guy has like 1,000 followers on his Spotify playlist. So, I mean, I haven't paid a lot of attention to it, but I'm aware. So I think it is customary to share like Twitter handles and whatnot. So I've painstakingly made Joel R. Sadler my identifying information across all internet platforms. So you can email me at Joel R. Sadler, you can tweet at me, you can Instagram at me, you can go to joelrsadler.com, which has recently been revamped. And I, for a more practical introduction, I work for a company in Charleston here, I'm local, that the group that I work with focuses on digital advertising and a very kind of specific and exciting niche within digital advertising around what the term programmatic. And that's something that I'm going to explain to you. And I find this topic fascinating, but I will warn you, when you talk about digital advertising, you probably all have come in here with a different perception of what this talk might be about. So a lot of the challenge for me is going to be focusing us all so that you pay attention to the thing that I want to tell you because you're here and that is our agreement. I will do my very best to make sure that you leave this feeling as though you have not wasted your time. That is how high I have set the bar for myself. And so what I'll be doing is explaining kind of what it is that I focus on, and then explaining why it's very exciting and why, whether or not you are an advertiser or a consumer, as long as you go on the internet and you see display ads, this is meaningful information for you. This is also the first time that I've ever worn a lapel mic. And so there's something thrilling about that. And I get to do that iconic jacket pushback for the mute button here that you see speakers do so often. And then I also have this thing, so if you're confused as to how the slides are advancing, I'm holding this in my hand. So the title of this is Why Did I See That Ad? And I have given it a subtitle, which is larger than the title, Digital Advertising in a Programmatic Era, which I can only imagine can't sound more academic, but I want to just set the stage right away. So this is the point of this session. This is one thing I really appreciate when I'm about to listen to somebody, is that this is the agreement that I'm making with you. I'm going to tell you up front exactly what we're going to cover. And then I'm going to do that, and then you will ask me questions about it at the end. So the point of this is I want you to grasp, and this is going to be really hard, so we're going to work together on this. I want you to grasp this amazing technological innovation that is driving a revolution in digital advertising and in online advertising, specifically display advertising. And then I want to explain or try and articulate for you what the impact this means for the future of advertising. So those are the two things that I'm going to talk about. And I want you to focus. We will need to do this together because it can get dry. And then, so to help you on this path, I want to lay out exactly what's going to happen. So I'm going to define a couple of key terms that you're going to need to pay attention to and keep those logged away. I was a history major, and so it's irresistible for me not to provide some historical context. I also want to provide a sense of the market that I'm talking about. I will explain this technological process as though I invented it, which I did not. And I have a group exercise that a few lucky volunteers will get to participate in with me. I will predict the future. And I think people that predict the future probably feel the way I do, that they're not actually predicting the future, they're just telling you something that they consider to be absolutely true and a guarantee. So nothing about this feels far-fetched to me, but I will still call it predicting the future. And then there will be Q&A. I was tempted to just put Q up there and not necessarily make a commitment to you up front that there will be an A, but I decided just for the sake of convention, I would say Q&A. So, the first thing I want to tell you about is what programmatic means. But I was talking to a friend about this the other day, and he was reminding me, we worked together, and he was reminding me that when we first started doing this, getting into online display advertising, that our first thought was, you've got to be kidding me. No one looks at display ads. They are a complete waste of time. Why in the world would we spend any attention on them, because no one else does? Those things are old and outdated. When was the last time any of you clicked on a banner ad? Was kind of this rhetorical question. And so we were like, this cannot possibly be something people are still spending money on. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, is this thing that annoys you probably and that you wish would go away. And you may have actively installed software on your computer to prevent yourself from seeing it. So first thing, and this is really important. So you may want to write this down. Let me remind you about the collaborative note-taking that Ben is spearheading. This is you all, if you were in the introduction, you know about this, but you can participate. It's like wiki notes, and without fear of leaking. So this is what I want you to think about. So WTF is programmatic. I don't know what that stands for, but I hear people perceive questions with that. So what programmatic means is using data and technology to increase efficiency and deliver more relevant, personalized ads, period. So just pause for a second and embrace that. There's a term, programmatic, and it means taking what otherwise would be a manual process, taking advantage of the immense amounts of data that are available, that is available. Let's just ignore whether data is singular or plural. People will argue about that. I'm gonna just go with me on whether that's a plural or a singular noun. Data and technology to increase efficiency and deliver more relevant, personalized ads. That's the first thing that you need to just embrace about what is underpinning this whole revolution. And then the second thing is, just to be clear, I'm talking about banner ads. There's so much advertising on the internet. There's like in-feed Twitter sponsored posts. There's search engine marketing. There's all these kinds of things. So let's just focus our attention on these little banner ads. I call them banner, interchangeable terms, display ad, online advertising. I like digital advertising because it's the kind of the sexiest, and sexy is a bit of a stretch. I'm a very low bar. So the next thing, so that was my definitions. So now let's provide some market and historical context. So first of all, yes, people spend a lot of money serving those ads to you. A lot of money, like a lot of money is what I wrote here. So the black bars are what everybody wants to see is up and to the left. Is upandtotheleft.com taken? If it is not, I should own it and just have a graph right there in the middle of it. But this is projected for 2016 of online advertising within display advertising. What I'm talking about is projected to be a $20 billion spent on this advertising by advertisers in just 2016. It's been rising significantly, as you can see from the upward pattern. Ignore the red line, that one's confusing, but the blue line represents the percentage of all digital advertising. So it's not only rising in its own right, but it's taking over how advertising is served on the internet. So that is the market context. Historical context. This is what you've all been waiting for. Please tell me about the history of banner advertisements. So I'm glad you got out of bed this morning because you will not be disappointed. This is a picture of a newspaper. Ironically, I took a screenshot of a newspaper on the internet, which is, there's all sorts of fun there. But from the very beginning, content has been modified by, or monetized by advertising that is, and I know I'm walking in front of this, it's just to like, you get a little break and stay tuned. It's like that little white flasher in the middle of the red light, so that you know that's what I'm doing here. So the idea of advertising supporting content as part of the monetization model is as old as newspapers. And I just want to point out, you can't read this, but I noticed this after the fact. One of these ads is for anarchists. Third annual bombardment, February 18th, 1895. And I just would give anything to have been at that event. I just cannot imagine when anarchists bombard something. One, how did they even set a date ahead of time? They're like, we're all going to do this together. I would think in anarchist fashion, they would have come that entire week and left whenever they wanted. But at any rate, back in the day, anarchists bombarded things. So we've come a long way. Maybe it was the original Occupy Wall Street. So this is it from the beginning. When we moved online, when the internet was invented, we basically took that same model and made it digital. So there's not a lot of innovation in this. You have an article, and then you have this space that is an ad. It's just gotten more distracting and annoying is all that's happened. And this is my favorite part. This may be the part that you will leave after, because this is the most interesting part. I want to take you to the recent history of display advertising. This is the world's first banner ad. It was run by AT&T in 1994 on hotwired.com. 1994, I recently learned, at the beginning of 1994, there were 700 websites on the internet. You could read every website on the entire internet. By the end of the year, there were 10,000 websites. By the end of the next year, there were 100,000. But this is the era at the very beginning. And so this idea, let's try and offset the cost of publishing with advertising online. Have you ever clicked your mouse right here? You will. This was an amazing ad campaign from AT&T. And I have to give you one other tidbit, and this is really the gem of all of this. Hotwire.com, now Wired, magazine, Wired.com, worked with 6 companies on this initial trial to run banner ads. They were AT&T, MetLife, 1-800-COLLECT, Volvo, MCI, and Zemo. I kid you not. One of the first advertisers of digital ads on the internet was crystal clear malt liquor Zima, if you remember it. Unfortunately, that model of advertising apparently didn't work out for them very well. But anyway, that is without question my favorite part of this. The thing, not only did the way in which advertising delivered not change very much, the way it was bought and sold did not change very much either. So basically, an advertiser working with an agency, negotiating deals with publishers. I want to run this ad on your site for this period of time. How much is it going to cost? Let's have another drink. How much is it going to cost? It was very direct, but extremely inefficient. So you're thinking, this is the internet age. We're still running advertising like we did in the 50s when TV was first coming out. So this is what happened. And this is where we're going to transition, and we're going to think very in a focused manner about the technological revolution that I want to describe to you. So on the one hand, a lot of advertisers, this is a paraphrased quote, there must be a more efficient way to get my message to the right person in the right place at the right time. This process that has been around for so long, there just has to be a better way. And meanwhile, publishers are thinking the same thing. Publishers thinking, there must be a more efficient way to sell my advertising space and improve the quality of the ads on my site. So the interesting thing about this is that both sides of it, both the advertisers and the publishers, want something more efficient to happen. All right, so here we go. That is all of my lead up, and now the fun begins. This is the part that I think is amazing. So I want you to close your eyes and imagine the internet. You can open them now. I know it's awkward to keep them closed for a long time, but so you're on a web page and an ad shows up on that page. You don't think anything about it. It's just like, oh yeah, that's what happens on the internet. And if that message seems more personalized to you or relevant to you or may reflect the fact that you were just on such and such a site, it's just like, yeah, okay, that's how it works. But here we go. We're going underneath there, and we're going to talk about how that happens. And then I'm going to talk about how that's going to be the way that all advertisements are bought, whether or not it's online, on TV, when you're watching a show on the internet. This is where it's all going. So think about the 3 martini lunches and that process of negotiation. And then this was the revolution. The introduction of the auction system. So I want you to think about this for a second. This is very difficult for me to articulate because it is incredibly complicated. It takes a layman to explain things in layman's terms, and I am that layman. But the idea here is that every time you load a web page, every time, information about you is sent from the publisher to basically an auction. They say, all right, I got this person, I got a set of eyeballs. Who wants to run an ad for these eyeballs? Are these the eyeballs you're looking at? Right as the page is loaded, each individual impression. So the auction system, and I will explain it further, means that every time an ad is shown on the internet through real-time bidding, which is a component of programmatic, an incredibly complicated system resembling a basic auction has taken place in the amount of time it takes you to blink your eyes. And that's not an exaggeration. If you blink your eyes right now, that's how long what I'm about to show you took. So I talked about programmatic earlier. I realized I just need to give you some context. Using data and technology to increase efficiency, blah, blah, blah. Real-time bidding is what this auction is called. That is like the hyper-focused version of that. It's like the pinnacle of what it means to use data and technology to increase efficiency and deliver more relevant personalized ads. So here's how it works. It's no big deal. We're just going to walk through this and we'll be fine, and then this will be over and you'll understand everything. Just for reference, situating yourself as a person on the internet, you are here. And this is everything that's happening that I'm describing that goes into the ad that you are seeing in real time in that moment. All right? So you pull up the web page. The publisher here, and bear with me because this is dry. We're about to do a group exercise that's going to make this much more exciting. Well, I don't want to oversell the group exercise. So you're on the website. You're pulling it up. It goes to the publisher ad server. They send it out through a platform called the supply-side auction, where there's like the guy with the gavel. And remember, these aren't literal people. I refer to them as actual people, but these are computers that someone has programmed to do this, hence programmatic. So it goes out, then it goes to the auction, and then all of the advertisers get a look at that. So where is this ad being served? Is this a male or a female? Are they in market for a car? Are they blah, 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 blah? All right, this is how much I want to bid for them. The auctioneer takes into account all of them. There's the winning bidder. It gets told back through the system. It finds the ad, and it serves it to you in a millisecond in the time it takes the page to load. Am I, like, just for a quick sanity check here, does that feel interesting to you? Like, is that a surprise at all? Is there anything? I'm leading you here because I want you to say yes, because I don't have the resiliency at the moment to accept a no. But
I just keep thinking, no wonder the internet is so slow.
So that's exactly right, and we can come back to that in the Q&A. That is exactly right, and I for all of my work in ad tech, I'm very anti-ad tech, but that's a different story. So let's do a group exercise. All right, you ready for this? I have some cards, and I need someone to be the publisher. This is the OhioStatesman.com. I decided to pick something that I felt like, all right, we got a publisher. Come on up here and be my publisher. You are the Ohio Statesman. Eddie, you're sitting here, so you're going to be the web browser. You're just going to be the person, the human being. And now, just hang out here. What the hell? So, and now I have 3 advertisers. Who would like to be an advertiser bidding for this space? Let's do it. I appreciate you going on a limb. This could fall flat on its face. I've only done this once before, and it was only a marginal failure at the time. Ashley, come on up here. You are going to be... that worked out. Got this one for you. And I got one more. I need a guy. This is not, you'll understand why I say that. It's not like a man's job. I just need a guy. All right, so Eddie here is browsing the internet for whatever reason. Eddie is interested in Idaho Statesman's announcement about the way in which they have redesigned their website. So as he loads this page, this space here, ad space available, the decision is going to be made through the auction system what ad to show them. So this is how this starts. So the page is loaded, and remember that magical diagram. Publisher announces to the auction, this is what I got, accepts the bids, and an ad is served. So Greg, read out what do we know about Eddie?
His location is Boise, Idaho. He recently visited phone.com, tripadvisor.com, qdoverload.com, and joelrsadler.com.
Smart man. Yeah. All right.
And he is male.
And he's male. Okay, interesting. Does that sound interesting to you? What are you looking to? You're an advertiser. Who are you?
I'm Boise Bots Used Cars.
Boise Bots Used Cars. All right. And so you are looking to advertise. What kind of person are you looking to target?
I'm looking for someone in Idaho Falls, Idaho. They're in the market for a pickup truck and they're male.
And they're male. All right. Interesting. And so you are more or less in on this bid. How much are you willing to bid? $2 CPM. We'll go into exactly what that means. But so we got $2 here. All right. What do we got, Ashley?
Diaper Dandy nanny service.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, targeting anyone in the USA. On a number of sites, mostly local news sites, looking for females. Willing to bid, blank check. So,
the
sky's the limit.
And what do you got?
Phone Home.
Okay.
Wireless phone company, Idaho. Recently visited phone Home website. Any gender, $4 CPM.
Ooh, wow. All right. So what do we got? Are you in on this bid?
I'm in.
All right. So we have, right now, I'm the auctioneer. So we have looking for somebody that's been to phone Home recently. Check. Looking for somebody in Idaho. Check. Something else. Check. And he's got a $4 CPM bid. You're out because you wanted something else about that. Yeah, you're looking for a female. And then here we have at a $2 CPM, everything else lines up, but the winner is going to go to Rivers Pierce. Oh, and this was the big reveal. Okay. And the winner goes to Rivers Pierce with phone owned, and that ad is successfully served. You will pay, and the impression is delivered. So that all happened in a long time for us, but milliseconds on the internet. And if he refreshes the page, that whole thing happens again. It's going to start right back over and go through the entire process. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So that hopefully made it a little bit more tangible. When you think about people, it's really computers that people are using every single time the web page is loaded. It's not like somebody sitting there with a mouse trying to buy the bid, because it happens trillions of times a day. So that is how, through the auction process, which without giving you a lot of history, has been developed over the last 10 years and is continuing to be evolved. But that's the way display advertisements on the internet are increasingly sold by publishers and bought by advertisers. You probably, if anybody has ever done Google AdWords for search, you're familiar with the basic concept of I'm willing to pay this much to serve my ad based on these criteria or whatnot. So let's pause right there. That is the meat of what I wanted to tell you. So what I want, yeah.
I just want to make sure, are you talking also about retargeting or not?
So retargeting is a component of that. That's an excellent question. So you'll notice one of the components of that bid consideration was the fact that phone owned, that's really it's too bad. It's better, this talk is better from the other room than it is in the room. So next time I'm going to give it from the hallway. So retargeting, you'll notice that one of the things that Phone was interested in is somebody that had recently been to their website. And so they are willing to pay significantly more if they have an opportunity to serve an ad to somebody that had done that. Yeah, and retargeting and all of the things that go along with that is one of the more exciting. I mean, you're absolutely right. That is where a lot of what happens with real-time bidding retargeting is one of the ways that people take most advantage of being able to buy each impression individually, because they know for a fact that person is interested in me. I'm willing to spend a lot more for them to see my ad than for somebody else to see my ad. All right. So what I got here is the last, like now we're to the future prediction stage. And I want you to just think for a moment, wait a minute, if display ads can be bought and sold one impression at a time, so that an advertiser can take available data about me and serve me the ad that they want, why can't that happen to all ads? Why is it that when I'm watching television, I see the same ad that feels very irrelevant to me, and it just feels like a waste of time? Why is it, and this is something for whatever reason, I'm just really interested because I've always liked billboards, but with billboards, with the increasing digitization of billboards, why is it, and again, it's distracting at this point, guys. I really appreciate it, but it is distracting. Why is it that billboards can't be bought and sold in the same way that if you are a disaster relief, would you not be interested in paying significantly more for billboard placement right after some sort of a disaster, or if you are a weather-oriented thing, or what have you? Taco Bell, if it's after midnight, then you're going to want to spend a lot on display advertisements, mostly with big arrows to the closest Taco Bell. But that is the future, is that all advertising will be bought and sold in this programmatic way, so that the ads that we see are relevant and personalized to us. So right now, this is mostly being done in display advertising, and the opportunity for advertisers to take the data that they have about us and serve exactly the ad that they want us to see at exactly the moment that they want us to see it is basically endless. It's just a matter of technology moving quickly enough to support it and make that happen. So the two things that I wanted you to know is that when you're on the internet and you see these banner ads, this is increasingly done through an auction system, like I described in extremely simplistic terms. So you can know that somebody bid on the opportunity to show you that ad. So that's the first thing. And then two, I want you to think about the fact that whether or not you are advertising or you're just experiencing ads as a consumer, this is what will be happening behind the ads that you see. And I'll tell you, ads are not going away. I mean, advertising is the thing, and so programmatic is taking over the way in which advertising is done, period. So if you're involved in programmatic, the programmatic part of advertising, you have a very exciting future. If I were in The Graduate, there's that famous scene in The Graduate where he says, one word that I would say one word, my boy, programmatic. And that's what I wanted to communicate to you, and I hope that it hasn't been too academic and nerdy, that it's given you some appreciation for technology and a vision for what is happening on the internet behind the internet. So I am going to use this to reinforce the fact that it's happening on all of the screens. TV, increasingly technology is getting there, where the ads that you're showing, you can be watching the same Scream Queens, for example, you and your neighbor are both watching at the same time for reasons beyond me, but the ads that you see during the commercial breaks will be different for each. So that is it. I told you what I was going to tell you, I told it to you, and then I told you what I told you. So let's bring it into that little bucket, and now we're gonna transition to the Q&A process. And I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate your continued presence in this room. Thank you. I haven't put the Q&A slide up yet, so let's just give it a second. There it is. All right.
John, I have a question. It's kind of easy to see the way that this makes finding the right audience more efficient, more convenient. And I mean, assuming that the data gets better and better about me on the internet, it makes it a better experience for me. But it seems like there's all that data about kind of who's actually engaging the content that starts to shape the actual content
Yeah.
in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I believe I do know what you're
the
saying. Yeah, it's
front-end ads,
spot
not
on.
only is it in the little kind of thing that we did, the replication, the demonstration, Phonom won the bid, but in light of what they could know about who that person is, might they have better, lots of different media that they would serve to, different clients.
Yeah, that is a great point. So because of the way in which the not only the delivery, the selection of the delivery is immediate and individual, you're being able to collect information about the performance of what you have been able to sell them, and the consumer's response to that ad is also instantaneous. So before, you might have to run a TV ad for 3 months, and then you kind of think at the end of it, did we have any cumulative impact or lack of impact? Now you get to do testing constantly with each of these ads, if I'm answering your question
Are you
correctly.
saying that the creative would change based on the consumer?
Yeah.
Joel, can you tell a little bit of what Logical is working on? That,
Yeah.
Because I think there are people in the audience who work a lot on the creative
Yeah.
of things, and I think that where the technology is going in the future will start to change what constitutes good creative for our audience.
Yeah, this is a great point. So look, I've explained, just because I'm nervous about covering too much and I could just talk about this forever. I've kind of started us in at the buying and selling part of this and demonstrating the auction and the use of data and technology. The next step, kind of the natural progression of that, is not only to use it to make a better decision about to whom an ad should be shown, but also what ad should be shown once you have won the opportunity to show a person that ad. Does that distinction make sense? Like, you get now I get to tell them who I am, how do I want to tell them that? And that is a whole other, and when I say programmatic, that's included in that context as well, programmatically deciding the content. And so what I'm working on specifically at Logical is a platform that will allow advertisers to do what we call creative testing for audience discovery, which is really fascinating. Because that means not only you focus on winning the bids, but then you get to learn in real time. Okay, so, and let me just go back to my example. This one, this is in Idaho. This ad, very easily, the background of this could have been selected dynamically at runtime to have kind of a cornfield feel to it, because they knew that it was going to be served to somebody in Idaho. If they'd won this bid in New York, they very easily could have swapped out programmatically, based on the knowledge about them, a cityscape in the background. And so what it means, what we're doing at Logical to do creative testing for audience discovery, is not just figuring out which ad do people click on the most across the board, but actually using the delivery of ads to learn which audiences respond specifically to which ads. So you may find out that no annual contracts, that there's only like a very small sliver of people that resonates with. But if you say $0 down, that this college students really respond well to that on the East Coast, and that allows you to immediately, not planning for your 2016 campaign, but it allows you to dynamically, on the fly, as your campaign is going, optimize what you're showing to whom through the program. Was that helpful? I'm very sensitive to not going off the wrong way.
That's great.
Right.
So you're saying, in a way, that the content-rich environment that the web's always promised us, that's now overloaded with, like, the click here with your mouse ads,
Right.
is going to go back more on the advertisers and less on the content producers? Because your dynamic ads will start to evolve more quickly than the content itself. So I go to read the Joel R. Sadler blog on something because I'm a smart guy, but it's the ads that are now creating this sort of like dynamic experience for me.
Yeah, that is a great, the innovation going on driving this kind of dynamic quality, programmatic quality of advertising is in some ways outpacing the innovation going on for just the delivery of the content itself. Right. Yeah, and so the idea is that your experience of being online would be fundamentally changed by what is able to go into personalizing an ad for you, from answering your question well.
You are, but that wasn't the question, right? So.
Well, this is great. Whoever asked the question that I answered, that was a great question.
The question I have, so I've noticed, because a lot of this remarketing that's going on, like I'm seeing ads for things I've already bought.
Right.
Which I hate.
Yeah, and that's
it seems like a waste of money.
Yes, and in fact is.
As someone who is an ad tech person who's not so thrilled with ad tech, as you said before, how do I remove myself from some of that? How can I clean it up so that I can look at new things? Because I'm sick of looking at the same ad for something I already bought. Yeah,
that is a great example. So I assume other people have had this experience, is that you are seeing an ad for something that you categorically no longer need to see an ad for. You've already responded to that company. That is simply a matter of the technology, the not being to where it needs to be for the promise of what can happen. So it just takes time for the fact that you placed an order to make it through the systems that go into selecting the cookies to which this ad should be delivered and removing you magically through that system so that they know, oh, okay, he just bought a phone. I don't need to show him an ad for a phone anymore. That is just a matter of the technology catching up to the promise, not necessarily an intentional aspect of what's that algorithm.
How do I remove myself?
That also, right now, I am not aware of a mechanism that allows consumers effectively, kind of in the phone opt-out thing that we've kind of, for telemarketers, that you can go in and just say that would be a very interesting innovation feature. If somebody creates a portal where you can selectively say, these are ads I want to see, these are ads I don't, and that's not available right now. I've actually emailed advertisers myself saying, hey guys, I'll give you all the information you need about me, but you can go ahead and take me off of your advertising thing. I'm that guy, but anyway, all right, talk.
Can you recommend some ad publishers from both sides, whether you're the advertiser, that you find are really good at finding those, and then from the content creator too? For assuming that that's on your site.
That is a great question. The place to start with this, not that I don't assume that you'd be starting, but just the way that I like to start is with Facebook and Twitter ads. That it's a smaller environment, it's very user friendly, and you get to experience the process of identifying who you want to see the ad and how much you're willing to pay for it. That is a great way to get started in this. And then the next level, I don't want to say that it's higher in terms of effectiveness, but certainly in terms of complexity and reach, is Google AdWords, which is not just search words. That is also the ability to run display advertising. It operates within kind of its own little world of this auction process. Once you get out of that into kind of the scale that I'm talking about, that becomes expensive and more something that like the larger publishers and advertisers do. But the two things that I have done to experience this, I have a website and I have put a Google AdSense thing on it just to get the experience of what it means to be a publisher and see ads dynamically generated and shown on my site. And then conversely, I've also used Facebook, Twitter, and AdWords. And then for work, I do a lot with like kind of the bigger scale things. Is that helpful? It's difficult for me.
Yeah, a lot. That was, made a lot for me. You're an advertiser, right?
Yeah.
So then
from the publisher side,
if you're a content creator on your blog,
you're
saying Google AdWords.
The easiest way to get started is definitely AdSense. AdSense is the one for publishers. AdWords is the one for advertisers. And it took me, if it takes me longer than 60 seconds on the internet, I quit. That's too long. And so it took me about 60 seconds to get just on WordPress and a little legit paste the code, and lo and behold, I get ads. I make, and I don't quit your day job, but I have made in the 4 months that I've been doing this at least $4.76. At least clean. And I just, before you rush out to do this yourself, but yeah, that's where I would start to experience the ecosystem. And actually, I would be thrilled to provide you and anyone with like helpful links and resources, because there's a lot on the internet and it can be difficult to sift through it, and I've spent hours and hours curating it for myself. So I'd be, if you should
go to that website.
Yeah, go to that website. JoelRSadler.com. Yeah.
Go back to Josh's question, your comments and response to Is there been any kind of movement in that direction around, to me it goes way beyond just being able to opt out of the analytics space of things. It's, what's happened here is you've got both publishers and the advertisers able to programmatically represent their interests, and the missing piece of the puzzle is the consumer. Right?
Yeah.
The person receiving the content. I feel like the high level goal is to bring the content and the marketing together in a seamless way. The missing piece of that right now is the publisher and the advertisers are doing their piece is getting the consumers to be able to represent, here's the things that I'm most likely to engage with, and it just becomes this world where you've got content, you've got behavior, and everybody's interest kind of brokered effectively from that.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'll spend just a second on it, if you don't, and because that's a great question. I could talk forever about it, but I'll constrain myself to get some more. But the closest that I'm aware of right now is you may have experienced when you're watching Hulu, there will be a little thing in the top corner that says, is this ad relevant to me? I've also noticed that some of the ads that are served through Google's network, you notice, this is not strictly Google, but that little blue triangle in the top right corner of an ad, that is like your flag that this was done programmatically, not a warning flag, just like telltale sign. Whenever you see that, you know that this auction process just happened. And they've started including a little button that says like, I don't want to see this anymore, and then it'll tell you why, like irrelevant, too many times, that kind of thing. So there are beginning to be mechanisms in place for that, but I anticipate that will be a whole, no one is innovating for the consumer experience independently of being an advertiser or a publisher. Yeah, Ben?
I just noticed on Instagram ads
that
I can choose to say, hey, I don't want to see this ad anymore. So I'm starting to see that in other places too. But actually, I'm curious about the impact of mobile browsing and that sort of thing. What you do, we build a lot of responsive sites. I'm not an advertiser, I'm a designer developer, and it's such a pain in the butt to try and integrate this stuff into a site in a way that's pleasing and not annoying to users. Performance, all those things. Plus, we've got all this mobile ad blocking stuff that's happening now by us. Any comments on any of that? Or?
Again, like I could take over this conference and we could all go out to the beach and sit around in front of me and I would pontificate all of the thoughts that I have about this, and it would be wonderful. We'd have it catered, it would be delightful, but we'll do that another time. Just quickly, what I would say is the way mobile is considered like the great frontier. That up and to the left graph that I showed, if I were to show you a graph of how that spend is trending towards mobile, it's even more dramatic. So like all of the spending is going towards mobile. Advertisers see mobile as a challenge because it's very difficult to connect to the information that you get about somebody when they're on their phone. It's very difficult to connect that to the browsing that they've done on their computers, and so it's hard to maintain this conversation with the consumer that they would like to do when people have gone onto their mobile browser. Honestly, like the main thing that I have to say about mobile in an answer is that it offers a great deal of opportunity to personalize based on information that is captured about the mobile device itself, but it also represents a significant challenge in identifying who the person is, and that wasn't very helpful from the publisher context, but that's what I've got immediately for you, if that's all right. Yeah, Ben.
Very important question. How long until the real advertising world looks like Minority Report?
You said it's a very important question, so I took your word for it, but just to validate that is a very important question, and if I could just for a second have kind of like a sidebar support on that. The tension right now, if you haven't already thought about this, the trade-off is between privacy and personalization. That you go into the coffee shop every day and you expect by the end of the week, if you get the same drink, they will know your name and have the drink ready for you. And we like that in that environment. We have disclosed preferences, they have responded with personalization. But it's really creepy on the internet for some reason, because that's all brands want to do is like learn the drink you like and then have that drink ready for you when you go on the internet. So the thing that we as consumers are going to have to be aware of is that when we, anything we do online generates data, and if we can either complain that we are seeing irrelevant ads or complain that we are disclosing too much information about ourselves. But we cannot complain about both of those. And so when it comes to Minority Report, yes, that's the goal. If advertisers could serve ads to you based on your retina scan and know that much about you, they would do it. because delivering you the right message at the right time is what they want, and in a way that's kind of what we want, because it would be much more interesting to get useful ads than irrelevant ads. And this is just a very quick aside, I'm over time, but I'm not too much over time, and so until I'm too much over time, I'm going to remain slightly over time. So the thing is, I just read about a company that is collecting human data, which is the scary term, through wearables. The wearables are like this whole new world for data collection about people. Like, why advertise to them based on the fact that they went to a running website when you can advertise them based on how much they ran today? So just that's where we are right now, is balancing the disclosure of information. So just to wrap that up, Minority Report, that is a very real question that we need to be aware of, is the trade-off between privacy and personalization. Yeah. I'll take one more just because I'm indulgent and you're still here. So yeah, and I'm gonna do it from her unless it's like, okay, great, Elise.
Thank you. This may be too contradicting, but when you talk, I'm still on the definition of.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to know.
Are you talking about text ads as well? Are you talking about content marketing?
Yeah.
Like, does everything fall under this umbrella?
So everything that the things that you describe fall under programmatic as an overall concept, and just programmatic means, and I'm not going to ask you to say it with me, but just be able to say this: using data and technology to increase efficiency and deliver more relevant, personalized ads. So whatever form that ad takes, whether it is kind of content marketing and native advertising, as they can call it, or keyword search. What I'm talking about specifically is display advertising is kind of what I focused on, because it's the most illustrated and tangible for me to communicate about this process. But yeah, ultimately, all forms of advertising fall under the move towards programmatic at some level. So. All right, y'all. I feel as though I'm prevented from keeping you in here longer, but I would do it. I attempted, but the doors are very difficult to lock. They're very difficult to lock. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Joel R. Sadler. Hit me up anytime, especially if you live around town. Yeah.